Well, welcome back to another episode of The High Ground. I'm Reed.
And I'm Matt.
And today we're discussing potential nominees, potential picks for 2028 presidential election on the Democratic side. Now, this is, it's still pretty early in the process, still plenty a long way to go, but I guarantee more than one person are probably thinking about this now and trying to at least get the wheels turning and trying to get lined up who they can foresee potentially being a viable pick for 2028. So, Matt, who do you think? Who do you think the Dems are going to throw in the ring next time?
Well, I think that's kind of a nuanced question. Who I think versus who I want.
Sure.
I think right now the front runner in the Democratic Party's got to be Gavin Newsom. He's been very disliked at some points, but very beloved at other points. But all around, he's definitely fighting for the people. Not everyone's going to agree with how he's doing it. He's definitely, he's gone on some right-wing podcasts and kind of cozied up to some pretty questionable folk. And then he had some pretty questionable policies recently against trans and homeless that weren't all that beloved on the left. But I definitely think he's probably the front runner. Obviously, like you have Elizabeth Warren's going to throw her name in. I don't think she's really got a shot, obviously for obvious reasons.
Sure.
But who I want, it almost have to be, I'd say James Tallarico, Pete Buttigieg, or Jon Stewart. Those are my three ones. But the probable one being Gavin Newsom.
Sure. Well, I think we're pretty much in lockstep with this, and feel free to disagree with me about this, but I think right now there's really no clear front runner because, not only have the last eight or so years been kind of crazy, hectic, and chaotic,
Yep.
But I feel like because of all that, there hasn't really been the opportunity or the space for somebody else, like another viable option that to kind of be in the spotlight or kind of be in the limelight, just because it's literally all been soaked up by the last few years. Yeah. And so for better or for worse, even if there is a really viable, great, amazing candidate out there, I really feel like they haven't really stepped forward yet. And, maybe with some optimism in the course of the next, 12 to 18 months, maybe somebody will. Maybe that in that time, you'll start seeing somebody step forward, speaking a lot more, making their views and opinions a lot more well known. And then, by this time, 2 years from now, going, okay, I didn't see that person yesterday, but I could see them being a possible, maybe not agree with everything that they talk about, but hey, maybe I could see them as a possibility for running. But to your point, there's a couple on there. I want to say, I think good old Mayor Pete kind of stands out for me, mainly because, the times that I have been able to see him on stage, he's been one of the few, of the 10, 12 during primaries that no matter what the question was asked, even if I didn't necessarily agree with whatever answer he gave or his position or stance, I feel like he's one of the few that get up there and genuinely answer the question that's asked, genuinely try to stay on topic and say, hey, here's my stance, here's my position, here's what I think. Even if you don't agree with me, but here's where I'm at. And I feel like, okay, that's awesome. I can respect it.
He brings a good amount of facts to an argument. He's not going to just arbitrarily argue a point based on his emotions and his passion. He's generally got some stat to back up his position, which is very nice to see, especially since the last couple of debates we've had have been more passion than fact, to say it nicely.
Well, and to that point, I think that's something that, we've talked about this offline before. I think that's huge in the sense that I feel like the last couple times we've seen debates, it's turned into a circus, almost in an instant. And
Yep.
I was never the biggest fan of Mitt Romney, when he was kind of doing his thing. But I think back to the debate that the debates him and Obama had. Back then, a heated debate was just them, occasionally interrupting each other, but it was civil the entire time.
Yep. And
Sure,
both could bring up their own facts to their argument.
yeah,
And that's alien nowadays. That's weird. It goes viral now. Like that's where we are as a culture. Where if a politician throws out facts for his argument, it goes mega viral because, oh my God, he owned the lib or he owned the conservative. It's like, no, he just stated a point and backed it up with facts. Like that used to be common, and now it goes viral when it happens.
well, and that's the thing too. It's like once again, it's turned into something for theater. It's turned into something for show as opposed to something to be taken seriously.
Mm.
And I feel like that's essentially what politics has done in general over the last X amount of years. It's slowly morphed into that to where you take a step back and it's like it's very difficult to respect the process anymore because from the outside looking in, okay, this is a system that we're supposed to take seriously, but it's difficult to take it seriously when a lot of people in that system clearly are not. And to add to it, even if there are what's it called? People at level heads. They're not hot heads. Whatever the right word for it is. Even if there is a number of those in positions of power right now, you're not hearing anything from any of them. You're not hearing them. They're not stepping forward. They're not, doing what needs to be done. And I don't know if it's like they're sitting here waiting for the fires to die down. Are they waiting for their opening or what? But it's really demoralizing in the sense that okay, this is the point we've gotten to, and once again, like I said, even if I don't necessarily agree with something on an opposite side or an opposite opinion, okay, I can at least first of all, I clearly understand your side and opinion because you articulated it, you gave me the information, you gave me the fact, okay, here's where I stand, etc. Cool.
So you just said what you just said. That reminds me of a Mitt Romney Obama debate. I believe they were talking about the size of our Navy, our Navy.
Mm-hmm.
Romney's saying he's kind of going after Obama, saying you're decreasing the size of the number of ships we have, and all this and all that. And Obama replied almost exactly word for word what you just said. He's like, Governor Romney, I know where you're coming from, but let me explain to you why you're wrong. And it's
Sure.
like, you don't get that kind of response anymore from politicians. And he made a very good argument. It's like, we don't need a large Navy based on ships. If our ships are of a higher quality, we can use less.
Sure.
It was just a very good argument. It is a good way to segue from his argument to his own. And you don't see that anymore. So I got to ask you, you have three people. You have three people. You have your probable candidate. You've got your favorite candidate, the one that you want, and they can be the same.
Sure.
And then throw in another underdog, somebody that maybe is an up-and-comer that maybe be less known or someone that we should probably look at more seriously that we aren't looking at.
Well, I'll tell you what. I will do so, but I'm going to add a fourth one at the end, just for the sake of fun. But as far as most probable, I think you're right. You said Newsom before, right? I can cut that up, maybe. You said Newsom before, right?
Yeah.
And so I think as far as the most practical right now, I would say most likely him. But once again, just because out of anybody else in the running, I feel like he has had the most spotlight. He's the most known and vocal right now. So using that as a measure, I'd say him. Secondly, ideally, like I said, at least right now, until I get more people, more candidates, whatever. Ideally, I think I'd like to see Mayor Pete make a strong run if nobody else is willing to step forward and take the reins or give it a shot. Sorry, that was the first two. What was the third one you said?
An underdog, somebody that's a little less known that you might want to see make a strong push, and they could be the same as one of your other two candidates.
Well, I think that would be Pete in the sense that he ran in the primary, sure, but I don't think there's ever really that strong of a push on his end. Like he kind of just faded back. After that, he kind of put his name out there, so he gets known a little more name recognition. But yeah, I don't think he's seriously pushed yet, and so I could see him being in the same. Um, and finally, for the last one, I'll put mine, and then you can go ahead and list yours. But how about for the fourth category? How about just out of anybody in the world to be president of the United States, any rules abide, age, whatever, anybody that's currently alive, who would you say, regardless?
I'm going
And
Obama all day. All day. I don't give a shit. I'd vote for him for a third term. He was fair. He was honest. No one speaks better than he does. Those are good years. You didn't have this crazy shit going on like you do now. Politicians can't even talk to each other without pretty much just being dicks. So that would be my fourth category pick. My first pick for most probable, obviously, I said earlier, was Gavin Newsom.
sure,
The one that I personally want, I think I'm going to agree with you and Mayor Pete. You make very good arguments for him. I don't think there's a single politician anywhere in the country right now that can speak more eloquently and more factually on the fly like he can. I don't think he's got a shot. I hate to say it, but he's gay. I don't have a problem. I would say back in 2016, I kind of had some problem with it. I wouldn't have voted for him myself, but after you hear him talk enough, you're like, that's just fucking stupid. That makes no sense. The dude is qualified. He's intelligent. He speaks very well. So that was a stupid prejudice I used to have. I would vote for him in a heartbeat right now. The guy I think would be my underdog, I've been talking to you a little bit more about him, is James Tallarico of Texas. And that's a weird pick for me. Because I'm not religious. I don't believe in any man-made religion. I think it's all bullshit. It's not that I don't
know much.
believe in deity
I
or
don't.
anything. Do what?
I don't know much about the guy, so you might have to give me like a quick little skinny on what he's about because I don't think I know him that well or know of him that well.
The reason I bring up his religion is because he's a grandson of a pastor. He's got ambitions to go to seminary school and follow in that same path at some point. Right now, he's in politics very deep. He's fighting for the people of Texas as a state representative. And it's a weird pick because I don't like anything religious. I absolutely loathe hearing politicians bring up God because God don't give a fuck about American politics. I hate to say it. He doesn't. That's not how it works. He's not out there saving kids from being shot in school. He's not giving a shit about Mike Pence running for president. He didn't tell Mike Pence fucking president. I'm gonna get a little passionate about that because it pisses me off.
Let's save that for another time, though. We'll go on.
Religion has zero place in American government, and that's why James Tallarico is a weird pick for me because he's a highly religious person, very deeply religious. But when you hear him speak, he's pushing back against these Texas Republicans when they're trying to force the 10 Commandments on students, enforcing their own Christian values on other kids.
Sure.
He's the first one. And being so Christian himself, so deeply religious, he's the first one to push back and say, that's not right. That is not the government's job. It's not your right to tell us and other people how they should live and how they should believe, and how they should worship. So and just the way he's a very Obama-esque, Pete Buttigieg-esque speaker. He speaks very well, very clear, very concise, very to the point with facts. He doesn't ramble much. It's just he says what needs to be said, says it in a way that you can understand, and moves on. And he's said many times, even though he's very faithful, he does not want to see any form of religion in our government. That it's not their right, and I like hearing that. And then when you hear him speak about like Jesus, like obviously all these politicians that are claimed to be Christians and deeply religious, they kind of like when they speak, you can just tell that they don't really understand the premise of what Jesus's teachings were of forgiveness and inclusion, and he does. I mean, he's speaking about it like we need to love our neighbor no matter what, because that's what Jesus taught us in the Bible. Is it doesn't matter if they're gay, it doesn't matter if they're trans or straight or Muslim or whatever their ethnicity or religion is. It doesn't matter. Love them anyways. Treat them like their family. Is like, wow, that is not what you normally hear from a religious politician. And I would like to see him make a push, because I think he could, with those Christian values that he brings, that deep Christian value, I think he's got a serious shot at the presidency, because he can play both sides. Unlike Pete, unfortunately, he's gay, and that's going to take away a lot of your right-wing swing voters. They're not going to vote for him simply because he's gay. Nothing else matters to them. But if you bring in a guy that can speak like Pete, think like Pete, debate like Pete, but is a straight white male and is deeply religious, I think you'll get a ton of right-wing swing voters swinging his way. And being from Texas, big benefit, because he's not against guns. He's not. I think that's your underdog.
It probably doesn't
run.
Well, yeah, I mean, it probably doesn't hurt that.
And he's a younger guy. I think he's 36. And it seems like he's got a good grasp of social media and the importance of social media, where some older politicians, they still haven't grasped it. Obviously, Pete, he's grasped it. He's probably the number one Democrat right now in the push to go all across social media. He's been on right-wing sites more than anyone. And obviously Gavin Newsom dabbles, but.
Well, yeah, I think it's, like I said before, it's still very early in the process. And like I said, anybody that's relatively serious is still kind of, biding their time. You're not probably going to see much of them for at least 12 months, but to kind of slightly end things on a lighter note, you'll probably laugh at me for this one, but my category 4 pick, anybody in the United States, and you can laugh at me if you want, but I promise I will back it up as much as I can.
Better say Jon Stewart. That was my runner-up.
Jon Stewart's there, yes, but I do. But honestly, if the one rule didn't come into play, I would honestly want Arnold Schwarzenegger to run for president.
Shut the fuck up! He bankrupted California.
No, okay, let's hear me out. No,
the fourth largest economy in the world.
Can you let me talk and quit babbling for a second? Jesus Christ!
Spit out stupid shit like that. How about Hulk when he was alive? You want him to run?
You want me to? Can I talk now? Thank you very much. So, first and foremost, and I have to check the dates to make sure they line up precisely, but I'm 90% sure they do. Governor of California for 8 years, yes, out of completely left field. And, okay, what did he do for California? One of his biggest things he did was trying to invest where investment needed to be made. And whether it be in infrastructure, whether it be in roads, whether it be, essentially trying to build up, modernize, rebuild the bones of California as a state. And then fast forward towards the end of his governorship, not only dealing with California wildfires and emergency response for 2 years prior, but right towards the end, right when just all this stuff is starting to go right, after he got all the, I think it was like 60 or $65 billion, he got the government to essentially invest towards these plans. What happens later in that decade? The fucking financial housing crisis of 2008. Which hit everybody, hit overseas, hit the whole thing, and so that giant wrench kind of thrown into things. And so if I say on Tuesday, okay, I'm going to take all this money, okay, we have a good plan, good track record, I'm going to take this giant thing of money and I'm going to invest it in this. So it's now out of my hands. I'm paying the contractors. Just easy example. Okay, I gave them the money to start the project. Then on Friday, I lose my job. Well, shit. Now it looks like I'm a giant ass idiot because I just gave all my money to the contractors to start rebuilding stuff and making things better. But now I'm kind of shit out of luck because I just lost my job and now I have zero money to pay the rent. You get what I'm trying to say.
I guess, yeah.
And so that's what I would say in response to that. Yes, and
I'll defend your pick on this premise. If you wanted a good-hearted person that truly understands what it means to be an American, Arnold Schwarzenegger would be a good pick. He's an immigrant that came over from Austria, from
Exactly.
a family. He claims his dad was a piece of shit Nazi, so he understands. He's compassionate to people that don't believe the way he believes or see things the way he sees things. And I would not be opposed to him being president because he does genuinely care about the success of those around him. I just don't know if I can fully agree that would be a good choice. Simply because
Oh, hang on. Could you repeat that last little bit? It broke up for a second. I can hear you now.
He doesn't have the bulk of experience I would like. Even as governor for 8 years, I don't know. I'd have to hear him talk more about specific policy procedures.
Sure. And like I said, he's automatically not eligible anyway, simply due to the not having been born here. But like I said, in a crazy world where that wasn't an issue, I would genuinely back that as fully as I could. But without risk of getting on into a different tangent and extend this further, go ahead and wrap this up. Yep. But I think before I do our little sign off, I will just say the high ground for this goes to the individual that emerges in the next 12 to 18 months, whoever that may be on either side, whoever that may be.
We're going to think into reality, dude.
Like, more power to him. If it's him, awesome. If it's somebody else that, we haven't heard of yet, hey, look forward to it. So if not, high ground to them. But for now, as always, stay knowledgeable, stay nerdy,
and always take the high ground.
See you next time.